Good evening, everyone. I'm South Ward Councilman John Sharp James. I want to welcome you to the evening session of the Newark Municipal Council. I want to take this time to recognize someone for what I believe is an outstanding deed, something he did not have to do, at a situation happening in his job at Home Depot. I'd like to call up Stephen Fields. Steve, come sit right here. This Newark resident is standing before us tonight because in his regular duties working at Home Depot on Springfield Avenue, one of the customers had a seizure and fell out onto the floor. He was bleeding from several places on his body, but Mr. Fields stopped his job to make sure the area was clear so this resident could wait till medical attention came. He stabilized the customer, had him stay on his side, ensured that he did not choke or swallow his tongue. EMS was called, and it's our belief that this resident had made a full recovery. That would not be possible without Mr. Fields.
Mr. Fields, congratulations.
Far too often when incidents happen in our community, individuals just want to take selfies or pictures or videos. We need to thank individuals like Mr. Fields who actually jump into action above and beyond what their typical duties are and assist another human being in need. Mr. Fields, just want to say some words. Congratulations. And I'm going to give you a resolution on behalf of the council, but I want to personally thank you for what you did, and you make us proud being a Newark resident.
All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good evening. Once again, my name is Stephen Fields. Originally from New York, but I reside here in Newark. I've been here for about 5 years this time around. I just feel like it was the call of duty, and I feel like I took a personal oath in the medical field to help anybody at any chance I get, so.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, not a problem.
And I'll do it again.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. So I just have a small token of appreciation from the Newark Municipal Council and Newark City as a whole, including Honorable Mayor Raz Baraka, and it commends Mr. Stephen Fields. We, the members of the Newark Municipal Council, want to take this opportunity to commend Mr. Stephen Fields. On January 3rd, 2020, while an employee at Home Depot in Newark, Mr. Fields discovered and then assisted a customer who was having a seizure. The governing body, along with the residents of the city of Newark, would like to extend a heartfelt thank you for your prompt and unselfish response. Any other council members have anything to say?
No, good job, good job.
Anyone?
Thank you.
Anyone?
Thank you very much, Uncle.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's give him another round of applause. The customer could have died. The customer could have been one of our family members. He stepped in action, and that person's still alive today. Thank you.
Well done, John. Well done. Those are the people that we have to recognize. Unsung heroes. All right.
One of my residents, was there and witnessed it.
Mr. Clerk, at the beginning of the beginning of the meeting, after the chief of the business, Congressman would like to address the council. Okay? Okay. So we do that, then we. Right. If I screen or something.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Mr. Council Special Council Regular Public Meeting. Please rise for the singing of the national anthem and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. President, in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice has been provided to the Star-Ledger, the Jersey Journal, and to the public at large establishing the date, time, and location of this meeting. May I have a roll call of those present, please?
Here. Present.
Present.
Here. Present.
Here.
Here.
Mr. President, before we begin this meeting, we have the pleasure of hearing some brief remarks from our Congressman, Congressman Donald Payne. If you'll come to the microphone, please.
Welcome, Congressman. Congressman Payne.
Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you and good evening.
Good evening.
It's really an honor and privilege to be back here in this chamber. Kind of strange looking this way as opposed to the other way. It seems smaller than I remember it, but very cozy, very cozy. Members of the City Council and residents, in my capacity as a congressman of the 10th Congressional District, I go to each town in the district at some point in time and give a brief summation of what's going on in Congress and things I'm working on for the 10th District. And that's been very difficult to get to Newark because the one day that I am always in Washington is Wednesday. But because of the holiday, I made sure that I was able to let my staff know that I needed to get here because it's been quite some time since I've been able to be here. So it's a real honor and a privilege for me to see all of you. I guess Mint Choice Act, so they can continue to use cash for food and other items. You know, it's something that the New Jersey legislature has already passed. So I'm working on the national bill. About 13 states have already passed legislation, but I'm trying to create the national bill. That kind of is a sense of the things that I'm working on. I've done a lot in Homeland Security around children's safety. You know, we have emergency plans for evacuating buildings and homes, but we found out that there wasn't a real plan for children during emergencies that are in school or at daycare centers and what have you. So I've been working with Homeland Security on creating a plan around children being evacuated during emergencies and how to reunite them with their parents in an emergency. And I've been working diligently on that for the last 2-3 years. I also had a bill passed in Homeland Security as a freshman that was dealt with interoperability, which is the ability for police departments from different locations being able to communicate during emergencies. That was the biggest thing that came out of the 9/11 report, that Yonkers, while they were on the 5th floor, couldn't talk to the Bronx on the 7th floor, and calamity happened. So interoperability is something that Homeland Security is trying to achieve. And I passed a bill in the House of Representatives, 378-0, in moving towards to achieve that goal. So I'm very proud of that. The other thing I've been working on, a lot of health issues. You know, as I'm a diabetic, for the members that were served with me, you remember me drinking 3 or 4 Mountain Dews a day and you know, not really taking care of myself. Well, it finally took a toll on me, and a couple years ago, I got a foot infection that wouldn't heal, and you know, there was some concern about whether I would lose my foot or not. But you know, I had very good doctors, and they said that they were going to do everything they could to save my foot. Took a little while, but you know, I'm still Donnie Two-Shoes, so it kind of worked out. But my concern is about the young man in Newark that doesn't have my health care, that shows up at the hospital on a Saturday night at University Hospital, and they look at his foot and says, oh, your foot has to come off. I'm fighting for everybody to have the doctor say, we're going to do everything we can save your foot. And there is a disparity in how people are treated in this country, and I'm fighting to bring justice to that. I've also gotten into, with that problem, I started looking at amputations, and it's very pervasive in this country. We all know someone or a family member that has lost a limb to diabetes and that type of thing. Well, it's preventable. But what we're finding out in communities such as ours, people aren't taking the time to do the screening on patients in order to save those limbs. So I've taken that up as a national fight to stem the tide of amputations, unnecessary amputations that are done in this country. There are hospitals in the South that is their revenue stream, cutting people's legs off. That's how the hospital stays open. So I am working on that diligently. I have just started a caucus in the Congress, Peripheral Artery Disease Caucus, that deals with that. And ladies and gentlemen, have your doctors check your feet, screen your feet, check your legs, check your veins. It is serious in our community, but it can be prevented. And so I'm going to continue to work on those things. Those are just a few things that we're working on. We're working on trying to make sure that this president is a one-term president. If he can't be taken out of office. We have to make sure that he's a one-term president, because if you think we're in bad shape now, another 4 years of him, and you won't recognize this country. So that is something that we have to be vigilant about as well. With the census is so important, ladies and gentlemen. It really determines how much money comes back to these areas based on the number of people counted. And so we need people with influence in the community, Donna and other people, to get involved and have people understand how important it is for this count. It's $800 billion are at stake, and we need to get our fair share back here in New Jersey. But we don't get it unless we get a good count. So I'm hoping everybody understands that, and we're all pitch in to make sure that we do a good job in that area. I'll be quiet now, and if there are any questions that you had, I'll try to entertain them. But thank you for giving me this opportunity to come before you.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you.
Okay. No questions? Mr. Clerk? Speakers? Thank you, Congressman. Thank you for coming.
Welcome to the Newark Municipal Council's hearing of citizens. Only those individuals who have signed up by the closing deadline will be permitted to speak this evening. When your name is called, please step to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. You will be given 5 minutes to speak. When you begin speaking, you will see a small timing device on the podium in front of you, which will begin counting down your time. When you reach the 4-minute mark, the yellow light will illuminate, indicating that you have 1 minute remaining for summation. When you reach your 5th minute, the red light will illuminate, and there will be an audible sound indicating that your time has expired. Please look forward and speak into the microphone. We are recording these proceedings, and if you turn away, we may miss part of your statement. Please address questions to the chair and not individual council members. The first speaker for this evening is Miriam Bay.
Is it Perry? It's here.
Thank you. Good evening and Happy New Year to everyone.
Good evening.
Happy New Year to you.
So I want to talk about 2 issues that I believe is very important. And Mr. President, I brought the documents for Council President Crump, but I'm just going to give it to you, I guess, to give to her, but it's really for the whole, council members. The first issue I want to talk about is, and Councilman Ramos, you will appreciate this, what I'm about to say. In 2002, August 27th, we had Assemblyman William Payne and Craig Stanley present the Amistad Law. And that was almost 18 years ago, so it's really 17. And this is a law that was put in place that is mandated for Black history to be taught in all of New Jersey schools. That is not happening. So I see Donna here. I'm sure, Donna, you are familiar with this. And it's important that parents, the community, begin to get involved with teaching Black history, which is American history, in our schools. So that's another issue, and I brought the Amistad Commission here. When I sat on the board, that was one of the issues that we discussed from time to time, Black history. Because again, Black history is history. And when people don't know their history, particularly our children, it definitely becomes an issue. Please, we need to start getting involved in that area. I will be speaking at the school board regarding this as well, because again, 17 years, there should not be any law that supersedes the Amistad Law at this time. The next thing I want to talk about is what is the city of Newark doing regarding sex trafficking? I know that the congressman talked about the medical issues and everything, but as we all know, sex trafficking is a big issue. And I'd like to know, you don't have to give us like the answer this evening, but it's just something that I wanted to find out. What does the city have in place regarding protecting our children, protecting our women, and our boys regarding sex trafficking? So having said all that, I am done, and again, the Amistad Commission is something that is real important, and I really want us to start taking a look at that.
Mr. Clerk?
I also want to thank Governor Murphy for all that he has been doing with the restorative action, mass incarceration, because the brothers and sisters who are coming home, we need to be able to help them once they come home. And with some of the bills that he has passed, it will help these brothers and sisters who are coming, and we have to be ready for them when they come.
Clerk,
Thank you.
extract the, when Ms. Bay has talked about black history, we should extract this to Mr. Roger DeLeon.
Oh, yes.
To the members of the Board of Education who are elected as a priority, and that this is a priority. This is something that cannot just be put on a shelf. To start something and then not follow it through, it's wrong. So whatever it's occurring, I think it should be implemented again as part of a curriculum.
Thank you. So can I give this to? Thank you. One is for Councilman Ramos as well.
Next speaker. Thank you, Ms. Bay.
Opal R. Wright.
Not appearing.
Richard Ariza.
Appearing.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, council members. Happy New Year to you. I live at 380 Mount Prospect Avenue, and I'm the vice chair of the tenant association in the building. Many of you are aware that we have a long history in dealing with landlords who have bought into Newark to make themselves some money. We are now on the 6th landlord that we've had in the 20 years I've been living in this building. A year ago, the tenant association leadership met with the landlord where they came to inform us that they would never meet with us again and that they would never talk to us again for the simple reason that, they were offended by the fact that we existed there and that they were going to run the building as they saw fit. We've had worse relations with landlords, so we're not particularly worried about not talking to them, but it forces us to depend on other ways to make what are the interests of the tenants known. We have a website, we publish a newsletter that's distributed through the buildings, and where we highlight a lot of the issues that are being taken up in the building, and so that's a way that we continue to fight. So we have in our newsletters, which we publish quarterly, provided photographs of flooding in the building, the infestation of rodents, the fact that we have had inadequate staffing in the buildings, that there is grime and filth in the carpeting by the garbage rooms. All of this is knowledge that has been made known to some of the city agencies, but to the landlords through the fact that we have publicized all of this. But the landlords, they set their own priorities. So they have gone and spent money on removing the keys that you use to get into the building and replacing them with fobs, which cost $50 to replace or to buy extra ones rather than having just a regular key. They also can be turned off, just as they use the electronic devices that we use to get into the garage. When you have a problem with your rent or they want to see you, they can shut off your access to the garages, even though they can't lock you out of your apartments. So when we don't have communication with the landlord directly, we rely on the city agencies. And as many of you know, we have had a bad history with some of the agencies of the city. But our president wrote an open letter to the city a while ago in December, and the engineering department ordered an inspection of our buildings. About a dozen officers from code enforcement came. They did a massive inspection, put on a good show. And then we were supposed to get re-inspections, violations were written. Fidelia, our president, will talk about this later. But it's been 5 weeks since all of that happened. We want to thank Councilman Ramos, who responded to this open letter, and his staff has set up a meeting between us and some of the heads of the city agencies, engineering and rent control and code enforcement, which is going to take place next Monday as we have scheduled. So we wanted to come before the council to make this known that we're back into a fight with our landlord, that the city has responded, but now the challenge is not to drop the ball, as has happened numerous times over the last number of years. You know, the fact that our buildings are referred to as affordable housing doesn't mean that they're cheap housing. It doesn't mean that, you know, I mean, I'm a retired postal worker. Many of the people that live in the building are retired municipal employees. We struggle to pay the rent. You know, these aren't luxury buildings. They're working class buildings. This is what still makes this a working class town, that we can still provide some decent housing. So we need the help of the council, the city agencies that are mandated to look after these situations. Here we have a situation with grime, dirt, over 100 violations written, and what the landlord has chosen to do is to remove all the toilets in both buildings and put in new ones with smaller water tanks to raise money. That's how they respond to what is now a problem that is a little bit well-known.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker,
Lisa Parker.
appearing.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Lisa Parker, resident of Newark. As we celebrate the legacy of MLK, we must ask ourselves, look at what we have become. For our elected, for our houses of worship, the Urban League, the NAACP, and any entity that is stewards in our community. What would Martin do if employers don't respect the workforce by not honoring their contracts? And yet this administration gave themselves a 38% increase and did not honor a 1% increase since 2018 for police and fire. Martin, activists, and the union would be outside of City Hall. What would Martin do knowing there's lead carcinogenics in our water and the leaders lied, covered up, and lied some more? Martin would be outside with activists, making public safety a priority. What would Martin do knowing Rotunda Recreation Center selling fentanyl, crack, heroin, and guns for over a year? Martin would be in front of the rec center and City Hall with activists and community leaders. To date, our government, our elected, our houses of worship, and those community-based organizations are complicit with the cover-up, the corruption, the abuse of power, and the criminal enterprise. And yet, our elected on the dais are silent. Our public forum has been muted, no answers, no resolve to the citizens for their issues. Passaic Valley has tripled the water bills. The mayor says they're in negotiations, but we should just pay it, even if we can't afford it. Madam Crump, Councilman Quintana, or commissioners at Passaic Valley? What have you done to help relieve the homeowners? I'll tell you what Rotten would have done. 6 communities are faced with expiring tax abatements. The ask from our elected was put a moratorium for the taxes until a plan was implemented. What have any of you done to address this issue and prevent gentrification and folks losing their homes because they are on fixed incomes and the developers are benefiting and not the people that created these communities and neighborhoods? Our city is the worst for job creation. With all of these colleges and training centers, how do we get deemed by Bloomberg as the worst for job creation? Where are the jobs? Why are we spending millions on legal fees and lawsuits on behalf of this administration when people need those resources and our taxes should be paid for services, not for spending millions on lawsuits and legal fees for the misconduct of this administration? At the end of the day, Newarkers, where are you at? Activists, where are you at? Council members, where are you at? I see the agenda today. Here we go again in the West Ward, selling and giving away property for less than the assessed value. We got more tax abatements extended to developers. But yet, when the people come here, you want to call us malcontent, agitators, but your job is to be the cornerstone for the people with our issues. And yet, every time we come here, no answers, and the president says, you'll get it in writing. I'm still waiting. 2 years later, not one answer. Got the Man Center. Prudential got all that money. Where's the outcomes from all of those trainings and our people?
Thank you. Lisa, your time is up. Thank you. Next speaker.
No answers.
Next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Tamika Darden Thomas.
Not here. Not appearing.
Gloria Mills.
Appearing.
Put it in the front so they can see.
Thank you. Gloria Mills, resident of Newark, New Jersey. Tonight. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm here on behalf of the War Against Poverty Coalition, and this is Mr. Gadsden. He's also from the War Against Poverty Coalition. Today, I'm here to talk about homelessness. Let me just tell you a few instances that I've seen in the past couple of weeks down at Penn Station and throughout the downtown area. The seniors in wheelchairs, one leg, one hand, are being put out into the cold out of Penn Station. There's another woman that is homeless, and it's interesting that the congressman made a point about diabetes because she's a diabetic. She gets her needles from wherever she can. She doesn't have any kind of health care. She has bites and scratches all over her face from the bugs, sleeping out in the street. And she said that at night, the rats are eating on her feet. There are so many instances of neglect and abuse, and the point is that the city is not approaching homelessness in order to alleviate or eliminate homelessness. what is happening is that toiletries are given, socks are given, sanitary napkins are given. Of course, those things are needed, but those things are only to maintain people being homeless. There needs to be a change of vision of taking some building like Bergen County and making that building, and you have to invest, making that building a place where the homeless can stay there. They're not thrown out, come at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, thrown out at 7 o'clock in the morning. And homelessness has a trickle-down effect. It affects the family. Now the problem has grown so that programs and services have to be offered in the schools because of the trauma of the students. So let me just mention, because this board right here, the War Against Poverty, had a vigil rally in November. These are just a few of the people who have died on the streets of Newark homeless. So the amount, I'm going to give you some figures of homeless who have died in Essex County and specifically in Newark, who have died on the streets of Newark, and these figures go from the past 5 years. In 2015, 6 people. 2016, 11 people. 2017, 24 people. And these figures, I believe it's higher, but this is what the state is admitting. 2017, 24. 2018, 30. 2019, as of the end of October, 37. This isn't counting any homeless people that have died in November and December. This is unacceptable. It is immoral. It's inhumane that this number of people, and nobody's talking about it, this number of people have died in Essex County that are homeless, and the number is growing and growing for the homeless. You have the power and the ability to be able to change the whole dynamics of how homeless is being dealt with. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. You extract a copy of Speaker Ms. Mill, what she indicated, and can we send it to Director Dr. Wade? I'll give him some, this is a homework assignment for him, so make sure that we send this over to him.
Yes, sir.
And if he can give us some, if he can give us an answer of what he's doing in terms of this matter.
Yes, sir.
Well, continue, Mr. Clerk, next speaker.
Manur El-Bomani.
Appearing.
And he's a member of the commission. Come on.
Next speaker.
Next speaker, she's coming.
I need to say something about the homeless situation. If you form a commission, and I'm going to leave this thought in the air, if you form a commission and a member of that commission is a transit police officer from Penn Station, what do you think his first priority is? To get rid of people from Penn Station.
All right.
That's it.
Talking about Officer Pfeiffer?
All right, we have please, we have a speaker before us. Thank you. Lisa, we listened to you before, so we have a speaker. Thank you.
So, Munira El-Bomani, first I'm going to thank the Creator for allowing me the opportunity. I want to say, happy 2020. Hope we all make 2020 a year of purpose and clear vision. To the leaders, to the advocates, I want to ask you a question. What is your purpose and vision while being in leadership or being an advocate for the people. Because Black Americans are facing disparities and Jim Crow intensify. No Black agenda, no reparation equals no vote. We need to get serious about creating some sustainable solutions for all the residents of this city because we are in a state of emergency. Stay woke, hashtag stay woke. A report just showed that Newark water is still contaminated, and the ones who are committing the crimes against humanity are writing the reports. So while folks sit in silence, while we get hoodwinked, Newark residents affected, I want to say to you, you must file a class action lawsuit like the Flint residents, and also demand an independent oversight and forensic audit over all the funding allocated to the Water and Sewage Department. Stay woke, hashtag stay woke. Millions of dollars from the Trump administration. $47 million have been allocated for homeless prevention. About 10 million of that have been allocated specifically to Newark, New Jersey. Stay woke. Hashtag stay woke, Newark residents. Newark homeless plan is ineffective and an absolute failure. Here's some solutions along with what our sister just spoke about. Recommendations for solutions. Residents, number one, you need to call on the resignation of every failed leadership that's in charge of this homeless division. Number two, you must also demand a forensic audit on all the funding allocated towards homeless prevention. Number three, you need to also ask for audit on every person living on the streets, living in the shelters, hotels, and also doubling up with their friends and families. Number four, you need to demand rapid rehousing, just like de Blasio, who y'all filed a lawsuit against. 12 months rental assistance for every resident struggling and living on the streets in this city. Number five, we must demand a sustainable homeless plan, for all the low-income and homeless residents in this city. Number six, we must demand implementation and independent oversight over the inclusionary zone ordinance that we just got passed here. Number seven, we need to ask this administration to stop weakening the rent control ordinance that's in this city, because that's also fueling evictions and homelessness. Also, we need to ask the city to adequately fund the right to counsel. Now, there's another report that showed that Newark has been one of the worst cities for job creation. And I'm going to say to you residents, you better demand resignation for every job developer in this city. Okay? Newark residents, I want to say to you, how long are you going to sit down and suffer in silence and go along with this administration friends and family plan, cardholder plan in this city and turn a blind eye? Because while you doing that, we are facing high unemployment, high poverty, homelessness, high foreclosures, and failing schools. So I want to ask you, how long, residents, how long you going to wait until you demand some resignations? You need to do like Puerto Rico did. Ask for everybody on them council.
Thank you. The time is over. Next speaker. Mr. Clerk, next speaker.
Bedalia Odutola.
Appearing.
Good evening, members of the council and my fellow
Evening.
Newark residents. Fidelia Uzuko Odutola, 381 Prospect Avenue. I serve as the chair of the Executive Board of the Tenants Association. In a letter dated December 6, we came to what I could almost describe as an act of desperation because discussions with our landlord, as Richard had earlier said, had broken down and become non-existent. And so we wrote an open letter to you, Council, and to the administration, to Mayor Ras-Baraka, asking for assistance. I want to thank our Councilman Ramos and Councilwoman McIver. Those are the only two responses we've gotten thus far. The other response, I would imagine, representing administration, came from Director Scott of Engineering, who basically deemed our concerns code enforcement. We thanked him for responding to us, but I want to note today that our concern goes beyond code enforcement. You all might remember our battle from a little over 3 years ago with a substantial rehab and hardship application that was pushed back because the buildings, 380 Mount Prospect and 402 Mount Prospect, were deemed not to be in good maintenance condition. And so that application was denied. The reason I bring that up is because the multiple violations that were brought to bear during those inspections have yet to be dealt with by code enforcement. And so our problems continue from there, also from periods before. And so we received very late notice. We all went home on the 10th and saw notices that code enforcement was going to come the very next day. Despite that late notice, between at 380 Mount Prospect, 71 violations, we'll talk about units. At 402, 51 violations. And this doesn't include the fact that out of 380, there were 42 units, and out of 402, there were 18 units that had no entry. This represents another layer of problem because as we understand the ordinances that you all deliberate and pass, and the citizens expect to be enforced, what happens is after 3 days, the landlord must make access available so that code enforcement can come back. That hasn't happened. We waited for code enforcement to serve our landlord. It took them a month. The inspection was on December 10th. It took them until January 10th, us pushing to serve the notice to our landlord. Since then, there has been no attempt at reinspection. We speak with code enforcement, we speak to Director Scott, and we get the runaround in terms of whatever it is that they're planning on doing. So there's been no reinspection, which means the landlord can continue to ignore the concerns that we outlined in our letter of December 6th. The fact that we have no security in the building, in the two buildings separately, the fact that general maintenance concerns that Richard had talked about has not been adequately addressed. The fact that as I stand here talking to you, there are some units that have no heat, especially in our sister building in 402. And the heat in 380 is barely working. It's lukewarm. These are things that the inspectors saw when they were there. In winter, heat is supposed to be an emergency issue. It has not been treated as such. And so I talked about the follow-up inspection process, which hasn't happened, because by this time, we should have been in court. We should have been in court years ago from the substantial rehab application. That never happened. Our angst is that we have tried to follow the rules. We report them. We hold conversations with responsible city administration, and nothing happens. Our safety net doesn't exist. The ordinances that you deliberate and pass are not being enforced. I've come here before you, we've come here before you several times and spoken on these issues, and you listen to me. But I don't have a response. And tonight, I would like for you to give me a response that I can take back to my tenant association and the tenants in that building to say to them, this is what the municipal council and/or administration is going to do to move our issues forward to resolution.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. Anyone? Councilman Ramos?
Yeah, Mr. President, you know, Fidalia and Richard, you know, they're well aware that we have a meeting scheduled on Monday with Director Scott and some personnel from the Department of Department of Engineering. You know, we all share in the same frustration related to code enforcement. A lot of times we do relay issues and complaints. We don't always get a response back as to how these cases have been adjudicated, especially once they reach Newark Municipal Court. And, you know, it's something that the administration has to figure out because, you know, it seems like the system isn't working the way it needs to work for the residents of the city. So when we get together Monday, you know, our office responded. We are going to sit down. I expect them to come to that meeting with information related to the inspections that took place at 380 and 402, and what have been the outcomes or the anticipated outcomes of those inspections that were done during the month of December. So.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Thank you.
Deborah Salters.
Appearing.
Good morning.
Good evening.
Deborah Salters, City of Newark. Hashtag activating or hashtag aggravating? Hashtag advocating or hashtag pontificating? Hashtag service or hashtag shine? Hashtag ours or hashtag mine? Say that again. Hashtag activating or hashtag aggravating? Hashtag advocating or hashtag pontificating? Hashtag service or hashtag shine? Hashtag ours or hashtag mine? Why is it that you do what you do? Is it to help the people see or make their way through? Or is it to personally benefit you? So I want to talk about the truth. The truth, not your truth, my truth, her truth, but the truth. So as an example, the truth is this is a podium. It was designed with a microphone for us to be heard. You can place your papers here. You can place your hands here to lean on if you need to. It was designed as a podium, a speaking piece. And I'm sure if we turn it over, we can see a date and time it was made and what it was made for if you go into the store. It's a podium, or by another name, a stand for you to stand and give your speech. Now, if I bring my coat and hang my coat on it, to me, I'm saying, oh, this is a coat rack. To me, this is a coat rack. I'm going to use it as a coat rack. Then she comes and puts her hat on it. To her, it's a hat stand. He comes and puts his boots on it. To him, nah, man, this is a shoe holder. What you talking about? So to me, it's a coat rack, because I want to use it for my coat. To her, it's a hat rack, because she wants to put a hat on it. He wants to put his shoes on it, right? So in the midst of all of that, the convolution of it all, the truth is buried. But when you take the coat off, and you take the hat off, you take the shoes off, what is it? The truth is, it's a podium. It was designed for that. The mic is there so you can be heard, the things that I just explained. So a lot of us have a problem with the truth. When you bring the truth to the council or to what I call him downstairs, that guy, you know, it's a problem because now it's like, well, you can't say, but when you have the facts, it's the truth. So you can't be mad at the facts because the facts don't lie. So what happens is, and then people try to go to, well, you can't judge and things like that. The definition of judgment is the ability to make considered decisions or come to sensible conclusions, discernment, good sense, common sense, perception. Now, I do understand that sense is not common in a lot of cases. You have it or you don't. But when it comes to the truth and the facts, we, as the constituents, my
fellow constituents, my Newarkers, my friends, my people, we have to stop being afraid to tell the truth. Are you not tired of being afraid to speak to someone you used to speak to before because, oh, well, I'm gonna get in trouble, I might lose my job? This is what I tell people, and this is what history has taught us. Like the sister was saying, what would Martin do? You know, because it's that month and, you know, we want to say these things, but we need to make actionable decisions. Like actually do something and not continue to celebrate in the way that we always have. What are you doing to make a difference in our community, in our society? It's time to stand up, like everyone said, get up and do what you need to do. Because this water, again, is still poison. And I gotta commend my girl Shakima Thomas for placing her report on Instagram and Facebook that she just had a new test done last month, 46 parts per billion, which is above what it's supposed to be. So the lies need to be stopped being told. Okay, it's time to stop trying to save face because your faces are already on the ground. Pick them up, fix them, wash them, let's get it together, and let's end this lawsuit at $841,000 with the NRDC because you all wanted to stay save face, stick your chests out. For what? When you could have been saving lives, you rather try to save face. But there's no face, again, to save. Let's stop telling lies, and those of us who know, and for you who talk about judgment, 1 Corinthians 2:15 says, he that is spiritual judges all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. Because
Next speaker. Next speaker.
Trenton Jones.
Not appearing.
Dion McCutcheon.
Not appearing.
Colleen M. Fields.
Appearing.
Okay. My name is Colleen Fields. Unfortunately, I reside at 27 Foster in Newark, New Jersey, one of the most troublous places anyone could reside. It's behind a gated community from hell. I'm here because for 7 years, the Newark Housing has attempted to crucify Colleen Fields. And I should have broke, I should have been, I probably should have had a heart attack. But by the grace of God, I didn't. We had an election. And again, I won for vice president. This time they wouldn't let me run. They lied to you all and told you all that I was in court. That's a bald-faced lie. Marva Hobbs misappropriated $178. They had a thing today, and if you see, she's on the ballot, but I couldn't get on the ballot. And they didn't know I had this. It says, any duly elected officer misappropriating tenants' preparation funds shall be automatically removed from the office and shall not be allowed to serve as an officer of a tenant association. So you're going to tell me Carter didn't know that, cover up Carter. And also, it's just too much, and it's not fair to me. And I'm not bragging, but I'm the most qualified person for the job. I fight for those people, and they don't like that. I've been hauled off to court for 7 years for everything to be thrown out. And it all started with Myrna Brown in 2013. She's in a clique. She was a security guard for housing. She worked for Gateway. And I know it's very heartbreaking. And I had asked for a transfer in 2016 before the bed bugs hit. And Rita told me I never put in a transfer. But when I took the letter over there to her, all of a sudden she was going to transfer me the next day. And I was going to go, but then no. It seemed like my grandfather or some guy, God said, no, go back. So I didn't transfer. But all this time, and even with, I was supposed to be in the pilot program, I've been dealing with bed bugs since December of 2016, still seeing them, they everywhere.
Corbett do not work. They're trying to hold on to Corbett because they probably getting kickbacks, and they in all the buildings. So they were supposed to start the pilot program. Before they could start the pilot program, the bed bugs was back again. It is ridiculous. So they don't like me, I guess, because I'm the whistleblower. You know, it's a lot of things happening, but thank God I'll get to go before the board for the very second time, and I have a lot to say. And Marva Haas been calling up here getting money from y'all. I told y'all she didn't even support y'all. She supported Jeffries, and she supported Gail Cheney Field. She's a liar. She's in the hospital, but I tell you, after tomorrow, it might be possible that I be put back on the ballot, because it's a shame. And everybody think Colleen is crazy. One thing about Colleen is not gonna lie. I'm gonna tell the truth, even if it's getting me in trouble. And I think it's ridiculous the way housing are treating people. And a lot of those, and I'm gonna say it again, a lot of those managers and assistant managers need to be tested for drugs. And a lot of those apartments wasn't being rented, and I pray that I don't get assassinated on the way. I see it coming or going. A lot of those apartments, the drug dealers was living in there. They were living in there. They sell drugs in front of us every day. I know I said the gangbangers and the drug dealers are my sons, but I tell them all the time selling drugs is wrong. One had the nerve to tell me that it was a business. I said, who you think you're talking to? You killing your people. They said they're giving back to the community. Don't believe that. It's a sad situation. I love them, but I don't condone them, and they're wrong. And the way housing treat people. My doctor said, Colleen, why is your blood pressure up like that? Stress. They probably was wishing I had a heart attack or a stroke, but I'm a strong black woman. And Rita Robinson and Megan Carter and Lord have mercy, they sent me to talk to Reverend Ross. I found out he was a liar. They said I could appeal the decision. They wouldn't even take it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Next speaker.
Donna Jackson.
Appearing.
Good morning, Donna Jackson, 128 Smith Street. Happy New Year, 2020. Let's see how clear we're going to see part 2. Okay. When is the council going to pass a budget? Why does the boy, now again for the beginning of 2020, won $184 million for the months of January, February, and March? Last January, February, and March, the boy asked for $215 million. And y'all still just going, yes, 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 yes. I don't understand it. There's no accountability. What is he doing with this money? Page 7. We got contracts, legal contracts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nobody in Newark. We got a $3 million settlement for pre-litigation. Well, how much we would have saved if we'd have went to litigation? Guess we guilty, so we just gonna give up the $3 million. Can anybody give me a total of how much money we have paid out in civil lawsuits? I'm not worrying about workman comps, I'm talking about civil lawsuits. I know we paid one young lady $650,000. I know my cousin over there told me we should be glad we got off with that. We didn't discuss it, but y'all know who the lady was. Sexual harassment case. I guess we got those just going through the wind. Hopefully no other women file, because the city will be bankrupt. Because we allowing the friends and families with the skirts to go on in this building without impunity. We just letting it happen. Y'all know it's happening. People are coming to you. Employees are telling you, and you guys do nothing. We're complicit. The silence gives consent. We have these conversations, people come give you information, and you just, you act like you don't know. You know. You know the friends and family plan when y'all go to league of municipalities. That's all y'all do. Drink, party, and have sex. That's it. Y'all ain't brought one idea back from any other municipality to implement here. Not one. But we paying for Atlantic City, we paying for a party. I don't care who donates to the party. Y'all ain't got time to party. We got too many issues going on in Newark. Y'all just put 4,000 properties up for accelerated tax sale. And y'all don't have a problem with doing that. Because they Norkers. You put them up Thursday, every piece of property was going by Monday. Not one Norca bid, not one Norca paid. How many elders did y'all put out your house with that? How many? You don't even care, right? Still not out there watching the lead service line replacement. They only doing partial replacements. They're not doing full replacements because Donna's out there. I'm watching them. You got National Sewer in here. They're not cleaning the whole sewer. We had it back up again, Joe, on Smith and Telford. That black soot is coming up inside people's houses. Well, guess what? The fourth time from my house, I will be submitting the bill to your office, Raz's office, the engineering office. Somebody gonna give me a check. And I'm not playing. I ain't going to court. Y'all gonna pay me out of court settlement, and I'm gonna show the rest of the homeowners how to do it. Because you're not gonna keep destroying your people's property. The rats are killing this city. You guys do nothing. Nothing. You still got one guy working in the daggone rat patrol. One. When the last time we baited this city? When the last time we cleaned the sewers? Oh, it's cold again now. Okay, we can't do nothing because it's cold. So when it get warm in April, we still not gonna do it. None of y'all don't got a rat problem at your house? Because I'm trying to tell you, them rats done took over. They done moved into the suburban parts of Newark. Now, I just need to say this. John, you know I love you. But y'all disrupted everybody's life on Stratford for Thanksgiving. And you said to me, Donna, what if a rat bites a resident? Well, guess what? It was all right for them to go back in there Friday morning. Ain't nobody moved one rat out of Stratford between Wednesday and Friday. Nobody. They still was in there when we went back. So what I'm saying to you guys is you got to stop playing. This water's still contaminated. Are y'all visiting any of the reservoirs? You been up to Cedar Grove? What do we do with the $65 million that we got from the state to put a top on Cedar Grove? Because it still ain't up there, because I went up there yesterday. The water just is open. I could throw something in there. Y'all don't care nothing about what people from the outside can do to us. Have you been to the other reservoirs? We own 7. Not just 1, not just 2, not just August down there in the east and mine up there in the west. We own a whole lot more. We own property in the Catskills. We own at Bear Mountain. Y'all don't even know that. We got 2 reservoirs in New York. Did y'all know that? We own it. That's why I told you didn't have to get no money for Joe. We got enough of our own land. You giving somebody else a tax abatement extension in this agenda today, but you won't take care of the people at High Park. You won't take care of the people at Somerset Homes. You won't take care of the people in the Central Ward, but y'all take care of friends and family, right? Because they buy tickets. I keep telling y'all better stop meeting with these contractors outside, because guess what? When the whistleblowers come, them contractors gonna tell on y'all. Stop having lunch. What you looking at, Ali?
No.
Mr. President, that concludes the list of speakers for this evening. The next hearing of citizens will take place at the Public Council meeting of February 5th, beginning at 12:30 p.m. here in the Council chambers. To the regular agenda, Council of the Whole to approve the reports of the boards and commissions.
Yes. Yes.
Is that
Yes.
the first reading?
Excuse me.
Yes.
This is the agenda.
It's first reading.
Yes.
Don't we get to say something
Yes.
with the first reading?
There's a boards. We're discussing boards. Yes. Yes.
Ordinance on first reading, 6FA is an ordinance granting a 25-year tax abatement to 495 Washington Realty Urban Renewal Company, LLC, for a project to construct 27 market-rate residential rental units, 7 income-restricted units, and 3 commercial units located at 495-505 Washington Street. Council of the Whole to adopt on first.
Council as a whole.
Roll call. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Ordinance on public hearing, second reading and final passage. 6PS&FA is an ordinance granting ordinance 6PS&FD adopted on November 7, 2019, granting a 5-year extension of the tax abatement to Claremont Newark Urban Renewal, the project commonly referred to as the FBI building. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
No one appearing.
No one appearing. Motion to close the public hearing and adopt. Council of the Whole?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
6PS&FB is an ordinance authorizing and approving an amended and restated financial agreement originally approved by Ordinance 6 PSNFG, adopted on December 19, 2018. Council of the Whole to defer action at this time, to defer action to the special meeting of January 28th.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Resolutions. Resolution 7R1A is a temporary emergency appropriation to provide funds for the operating expenses until the adoption of the 2020 operating budget for the City of Newark and the Department of Water and Sewer Utilities. B is a temporary emergency appropriation to provide funds for all interest and debt redemption charges for the year 2020. Through 7R1B, Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
7R3A is an authorizing resolution for the Department of Engineering for a bid contract for the annual pothole repair contract. 3B is an authorizing resolution for the Department of Engineering for a bid contract for the installation of pavement markings. Through 7R3B, Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. Continue.
7R6A is a ratifying, authorizing, and amending resolution for the Department of Law for professional services contract, the First Amendment to the agreement to provide legal service concerning litigation matters. B is a ratifying, authorizing, and amending resolution for professional services contract for the First Amendment to the agreement to provide legal services concerning litigation matters. C is a ratifying, authorizing, and amending resolution for a professional services contract for the First Amendment to the agreement to provide legal services concerning conflict matters. D is a ratifying, authorizing, and amending resolution for a professional services contract for the First Amendment to the agreement to provide legal services as litigation defense. E is a authorizing resolution for settlement of pre-suit litigation. Council of the Whole through 7R6E, Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
7R8A are various recognizing and commending resolutions. 8B are various expressions of profound sorrow and regret. 7R8C is authorizing and amending by the Office of Municipal Council, City Clerk, amending a ceremonial street dedication. Councilman James, you wish to move, second by Councilman Osborne.
Yes.
We're back to
Roll call.
through 7R8C, roll call. Council of the Whole for A and B.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
7R10A is a ratifying, authorizing resolution for the Department of Public Works, Division of Sanitation, for an EUS contract to assist with the management, supervision, and daily operations of the city's Department of Public Works with the ultimate goal of completing a comprehensive assessment. Council pleasure?
Pleasure.
Council of the Whole to adopt? Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Abstain.
Yes.
I'm going to switch my vote to an abstention. Because the director was supposed to come here and talk to us.
Director's here.
She was here.
She was here.
Came in.
Right?
DPW?
No, the director's.
No, that's the director.
We can,
Director's here.
The director is here.
She sit back.
The director is here, Public Works.
It's in the room.
to the microphone.
Yeah, Mr. President, at the I think we asked about what services has Mott McDonald provided to the department during the course of 19, and what services are they going to assist you with in 20? You know, it is a sizable contract, over $300,000. I'm sure there's some value for the department, but there's no backup information as to the activities or some of the areas. I know they've been working with your office for a while, but we don't have any reports to look at as to, you know, the outcomes of their work so far.
Good evening, Director Thomas, Department of Public Works. I think we actually sent it over November 2018, but I have a list of some of the items that they was doing. We used Mark McDonald to do a number of services, our street sweeper services, the janitorial contract. They actually now doing our gas optimization so we could better utilize our fuel. They went in public buildings and did an oversight of the contracts that they was doing. They did the specs. They also provide, they doing a background on motors to see our fleet and see how the operation now motors to make it more efficient than what it's been operating in the last few years. But I have a spreadsheet, and I'll forward it to y'all tonight before I leave
They're
out.
paid per hour? Is that the way the contract works?
Yes, actually, yes, it was per hour.
There's
Per
an
hour.
hourly rate that they charge the city for the amount of time they spend with the department?
Yes.
Yeah, report, Director, would be helpful. You know, it should really come through the BA's office, just summarizing their activities. Like I said, I know Mr. Levesque, who I assume is the person who's worked with you through this contract, and, you know, they have assisted the department. We just don't have any information to refer back to. That's the only reason I abstain.
Okay. Any other questions? No. No. Thank you. Thank you, Director.
The roll call is still open. Do you wish to change?
I'm abstaining.
Yeah, I'm going to abstain
Abstaining.
until I get the report.
Abstained.
Okay. Next item.
7R12A is a authorizing resolution for the water sewer utilities for a professional services contract for professional engineering services on an as-needed basis. Council of the Whole?
The director was supposed to come before us too on this one. Is the director here? Well, downstairs is not good. You gotta be up here.
Council pleasure?
What's the pleasure?
No
Defer.
problem moving it, yeah.
Defer to Tuesday.
Council of the Whole to defer to the special meeting of January 28th.
All right. Roll call. Yes.
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 Yes to defer.
Yes.
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 Let's go to the added starter pages.
Mr. Clerk,
Yes.
to the administration, when directors are asked to be here, they should be here. But then the vote was casted. Tuesday, the director should come before us. We already took a vote, so.
Yes.
I mean, this is just, we have to start setting precedents that directors, if they have agendas, they should be before us. We don't have to go calling directors. And not to single any director, but this is not the way. They get good pay to be here at a certain time, and no disrespect. So Tuesday, we'll listen to it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, if I may take advantage that the Director Thomas is here. Director Thomas. Director Thomas.
Director Thomas.
I have a quick question for you.
Director Thomas.
I have a comment. I believe, Sunday to fill the car, and when I was trying to input the mileage and the pump that I wanted, the machine ran like 15 numbers.
Yeah.
And when are we changing that? When are we making sure that that's fixed?
New pumps, new canopies, all that'll be here. They ordered it as a 6-week backlog, then they go start installing when the weather break. And it will be no more cards. We're giving out key fobs, so you'll have it on your key, so when you just put your key fob in it, you'll be able to get gas.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, to the late.
7R.
Yeah, the BA wants to address.
Just,
Yes.
if I could, Council President Quintana,
Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. I'm advised that there was a representative here from Water and Sewer, but apparently he didn't understand that the item that was being addressed was the one that he should have spoken on. I would suggest that it's my fault that he wasn't prepared properly. Director Dean was out in the hallway and was addressing issues, I'm told, regarding the federal government and the state, and that's why he was out there. I would ask if it's possible that the motion to defer be rescinded and the matter be allowed to move forward, or at least that the questions that the council had to Director Dean be addressed now and the matter move forward under the circumstances.
Can we do it on Tuesday? I mean, is it? Tuesday? Well, you want to reconsider that? Is there a mover?
No, it's
A second?
to reconsider.
All right. To reconsider.
Roll call to reconsider.
Yes.
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 This is 7R12A, the professional services contract for professional engineering services on an as-needed basis. Director?
Okay. Director? Name? Director?
Kareem Adine, Acting Director, Department of Water and Sewer.
What is the contract about?
So this is an engineering company. We use a variety of different engineering companies when we have emergencies, as needed basis. It's not that we've given them work, we're not promising them work, but if we need to use them, we're able to use them.
What kind of service do they provide?
Construction inspection, environmental testing, stuff like that, or designs.
I'll move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Thank you, Director.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
7R2A on the added starter page is a private sale and redevelopment to build two-family homes for sale.
Yes. Sponsor.
Councilman McCallum, sponsor?
Second. Roll call. Yes.
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 Yes. Councilman McCollum.
Quickly, I want to thank my colleagues for supporting this, and mainly I want to thank Economic Development, the administration, for helping us get on the agenda. It's very important. These two homes here that'll be built, along with the next agenda item, that's 12 properties, homes that'll be built on the side streets, the numbered streets, which if you live in the West Ward, you know a lot of the streets are have a lot of empty lots and abandoned property. So this will go a long way towards helping to fill in the empty lots in the ward and create a better environment in the community. So I want to thank everyone involved.
Okay.
Especially you, Angela Foster. We met a couple of times.
Mr. Clerk, next item.
7R2B is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Economic and Housing Development for the private sale and redevelopment to build 10 two-family homes for first-time home buyers and affordable apartments for working families. Councilman McIver,
Yes,
McCollum, you spoke, sponsor?
I'll second. Roll call. Yes.
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 Mr. President,
Yes. Councilman Ramos.
I just want to make a quick comment that I want to commend the deputy mayor for, finally releasing some of these proposed sales. I know there are a number of transactions that have been stuck somehow in economic development for some time, and this goes back to my point where, to me, the land bank should serve a very specific purpose, but at the same time, this demonstrates that when the city is efficient, that we can transact property sales to qualified developers who can get these properties back on the city tax rolls. We don't have to subsidize an outside entity at the cost of millions of dollars a year, and then at the same time, potentially give up, ratables to this outside entity for a number of years when the city themselves can transact and sell properties. Sometimes we're at fault because the system is inefficient and the bureaucracy takes a long time to transact these properties. And I think the two sales that are on the agenda today in the West Ward show us that the process can work. Here you have an example of two developers that are going to take on a number of lots that are in need of redevelopment. And I'm sure within, a year or 18 months when we drive by those neighborhoods, we're going to see new construction up, people living there, and it was done on the city side, not through an outside entity, not at a big cost to the taxpayers of the city.
Mr. McCollum, and then Council.
I just want to add also that the first two items, those two homes, the developer's going to be doing an escrow account, and the sale of these homes is going into that account, and they're going to keep recycling the money throughout the West Ward. And also, backing you up with that, Councilman Ramos, we get a chance to meet with the developers, and we have a vision of what we want to see in the wards. And these are beautiful houses that are going to be built. They're just not throwing up crap, and it's really going to be beneficial to the ward and to the residents. So first-time home buyers, they're committed to using minority contractors on the properties, doing some training on the properties. So there's a holistic approach to what we're trying to do. So that's what.
Councilman Gonzalez.
Yes, Mr. President, I see here that they are to commence within 3 months of acquisition of the property or 3 months of today, because the problem that we have is that we don't close these transactions on a timely basis. And that's something that we need to do. We need to make sure that we close on these transactions on an expedited basis so that this can be done quickly. We need the development now, not 2 years down the road.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, next item.
Back to the regular agenda. We are on page 16, pending business. 9A is an ordinance granting a 25-year tax abatement to 30 Clinton Urban Renewal LLC at the request of Councilwoman MacGyver, second by Councilman James. Council to defer action at this time?
Yes.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
To
President. Yes, Councilman Amador.
I don't know if that's one of the reasons why we are deferring this, but there's a huge difference between what the committee agreed on and what this looks like now, the ultimate package. So we need to take a look at what we had before and what we have now before any final approval is made by this body. Because the way the ordinance is right now is basically the same way. Taking away the legal issues, it's the same way that the first ordinance was before it came to the committee.
You're talking about the handicap parking.
Yes.
We didn't get to that yet.
We're not there yet.
No, we're not there yet. So, I mean.
Back to the added starter page. 8A on communications is an ordinance amending Title 23, Traffic, Chapter 5, Parking, Stopping, and Standing, generally Subchapter 13, Handicapped and Reserved Parking. This will eliminate requirements for municipal council approval of handicap parking, space applications, reduce the amount of physicians' forms, increasing the application fees, and assigning handicap parking spaces on a first-come, first-served basis. We have a request from the administration to advance and adopt on first.
Can I make basically ditto on what I said before? So I suggest, you don't have a problem in moving to first reading, but there's a huge difference between what the committee agreed to and what the city council agreed to and what this looks like. So we need to review this before it's finally approved.
Council President?
Yes, Councilman.
So first, I want to thank Councilman Ramos, because I think it was him that brought up the idea, which is why this is back in front of us regarding the hardships that residents are, regarding the hardship that residents are having with the ordinance that we had first passed in the beginning of the year regarding the notary suggestion on here, as well as the 2 doctor's notes. We discussed at some point at a council meeting regarding the intent for the change in the ordinance to, deal with a lot of people who were, abusing the process, a lot of people who were getting illegal doctor's notes some way, somehow, to get a handicap parking and so forth. And I understand that intent. However, we have gotten numerous calls from tons of residents, those disabled, those who are disabled, and seniors who do not have 2 doctors. And it has caused such a hardship, as well as having a notary present with them at the doctor right then and there to notarize a doctor's note. It has become a true hardship. And in our community, when people are already battling to get to the doctor with lack of health care, with lack of co-payment payments to pay for a doctor, we are now, as a city, asking people to, number 1, do more than the DMV requires, and 2, go to a second doctor to pay extra money to get a handicap sticker. It is a hardship. While I understand the intent of the council was to stop people who are abusing the process, all it did was put a hardship on those in our city who, number 1, do not have, all the time if you have a disability, you don't necessarily have 2 doctors all the time. You might have 1 doctor. We are forcing residents to try to get a second doctor's note by any means necessary to get a handicap sticker. And these are people who are renewing as well. So they've had a handicap sticker in the past, and now we're asking them to do it. Whatever the pleasure is of the council, that's fine with me, but I am going to advocate that we reverse back to 1 doctor's note, and if we want to double check with people who we believe is abusing the system and lying on a doctor's note, then we put that responsibility, just like other municipalities do, and Jersey City for that question. They have the health department that checks those doctor's notes or does a second check for them. But to ask residents who are literally struggling right now to pay for another doctor's note, it is irresponsible to do that. People do not have that luxury to do that. And when this comes up again, I'm going to make sure we bring some of those testimonies in here of those people who are struggling right now to get to a doctor's to get a second note. So that doesn't take away from anybody's intent or what they wanted to do with this ordinance. It just, we didn't know what the backfire would be with the hardship in our communities. And it is our job, or I know it's my job, to advocate for those who I represent. And we have gotten numerous. I mean, they have already started a petition regarding the 2 doctor's notes because they just can't do it. And that is the voice of the people.
Mr. President.
Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, I do, I did raise some of the issues that, like everybody else, I'm sure we got calls from residents. The issue with the notary became a hardship for folks. Actually, very difficult to bring a notary with you when you have a doctor's appointment. And we did hear from some residents regarding complications with their insurance companies of having to get an assessment even from 2 different primary doctors. And I think that the secondary doctor or opinion was brought up because the expectation from the beginning, like it is in Jersey City and some other towns, is that the city's health department plays a role in doing that assessment. And Dr. Wade made it clear to us that, the health department in the city does not want to be a part of that, which is why I believe the ordinance resulted in 2 independent doctors' opinions. So, I think it's probably a good idea to move it. I don't know if we're in a position where we want to advance and adopt if there is some dialogue, but I don't see any harm in us moving it to first reading. I do believe a change has to happen in the legislation because some of the provisions, I think, are unfair to residents in the city. So.
Okay. The Council President, Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. With respect to Councilman Ramos's position that we don't necessarily need to advance, the consequence of that, advance and adopt, but the consequence of that is that you will remain with the 2-doctor requirement until this matter is resolved. The administration is comfortable with you having a further debate, except that it's going to, I think, undermine your objective, or generally the council's objective, to make sure that the residents are able to get an appropriate handicap parking placard with appropriate doctor certification. I'll repeat again that the certification that we have will be a certification that will require the applicant, the landlord if the applicant is not the landlord, and the physician, all to certify under penalty of perjury that the information that they're providing is truthful. And if it's determined that that information is not truthful, the individuals who certified to that are subject to prosecution. Quite frankly, it strikes me that that compromise is significantly more likely to result in getting a verified and verifiable application than 2 doctors. Any individual who can get 1 doctor to doctor a note, pun intended, they can likely get 2. So it would be my recommendation that it's advanced and adopted. Yes, Councilman.
Today is the 22nd of January. All the forms, all the applications on the existing handicapped owners, handicap sign owners, has been sent to those applicants and have been returned to traffic and signals with the 2 doctors option included on those applications. Now we're going to change the law and we're going to go back to 1 doctor only. The only thing we talked about at the last meeting was not force the folks who apply for a handicap signs to have the doctor notarize, or the doctors notarize the application. That should be the responsibility of the owner.
Yes, Councilman.
But if you want to eliminate that, that's fine. But if most of the applications have been received already by traffic and signals, which includes the 2 doctors option, now we're going back again to the 1 doctor option, and we're going to tell, oh, by the way, you're incorrect.
I don't understand the last comment, but I think that the administration took great pains to listen to the council and to implement a policy that would satisfy the council, satisfy the residents, and make sure that residents are not unduly inconvenienced, they're not burdened more than they should be, and still provide the indicia of reliability and veracity that the council sought. I think that the proposal that we put forward accomplishes that. But again, it is the council's purview at this point as to how it wants to move forward. It's my suggestion that it be advanced and adopted so that the intent of the council is implemented as soon as possible. But again,
Council President, I just want to say that I humbly request to the council members to move and adopt the ordinance, because we have people out here who we represent who are literally impacted with this every day as a hardship for the 2 doctor's notes in the notary. And we did talk about removing the doctor's note at our last meeting. I don't know if it was the last meeting or what meeting it was, but we talked about that, and that's why this is in front of us today, because they went and took back what we talked about changing it. All I'm saying is, if you don't believe me, what's coming out of my mouth about the residents, I will bring them here for you so that you can hear from all those people who we have placed this 2 doctor's notes and notary on, that it has become a hardship. They call our office every day for it. And the point that the BA pointed out about the new language that we have, that the signatures that we need to get, that was what we said, that would suffice for that extra doctor's note. We cannot hold our community that is already struggling, we're already in a struggling community, to tell them, go out and go get another doctor's note and pay a copay or pay the full price, because some people don't have health insurance. And we're going to tell them to do that? I mean, does everybody feel comfortable up here to do that? I don't. And I'm not going to support that. We cannot do that. We've heard from the people. They've called. They've complained. Everybody's gotten the same calls. And we're going to tell them to still have 2 doctor's notes? No, this is urgent. This is urgent. And I support us moving forward.
Mr. Clerk.
Before you call the roll call, I think first, since the Corporation Council wanted to point out a couple of the changes.
Good evening, Angela Foster, First Assistant Corp Counsel. I just wanted to point out what the changes are with respect to the added starter. In the title of the ordinance, we were taking out where it said limiting the amount of reserved handicap parking spaces. It's now assigning handicap parking spaces on a first-come, first-served basis. And that same change is also in the statement portion. I also wanted to add with respect to the one physician, the physicians also take an oath. So if there are physicians who are coming up with excuses or what have you as to giving out the stickers, they have an oath that they have to uphold as well. As well as that, the ordinance provides that the physicians are also signing it under penalty, subject to penalty of perjury. So to have the two, I would agree with the councilwoman, to have two physicians really is an overkill.
Okay, Councilman Gonzalez, and then...
Quick question is, Councilman Amador indicated that the request or the applications went out and that we have received the applications already with the two doctors signing the application. Is that true, a true statement? Yes. Because if we already have the applications with the two doctors, I believe that it would be confusing at this point in time if we change it.
There may well, I don't know the answer specifically whether or not there are applications pending with two doctors. I think what can do to ease the confusion is to make the ordinance prospective. If there are pending applications that have satisfied the two-doctor rule, we implement them. From the date that this council adopts this ordinance, it will be prospective. And from that point forward, you have to have the one doctor, one certification under penalty of perjury.
Mr. President.
Yeah, Councilman
and Eric and maybe the Corp Council, can you just describe to us like the kind of weight that you believe this penalty of perjury provision carries? Like how serious is this? We recognize that for the most part, a lot of the applications are legitimate, right? But we also recognize and we know our neighborhoods well, and we know that there are applications that are processed and doctors will give certifications to individuals that unfortunately may not be disabled. So, how is this going to change and tighten this process?
I'm happy to perjury is an offense it's a 2C offense, which is in the criminal code and potentially carries prison time. But I think the more significant weight that it carries is that it puts a physician, as First Assistant Corporation Counsel Foster said, it puts a physician in a position where his license can be challenged. If there's a determination that they have perjured themselves, or if there's even a probable cause, sufficient probable cause to find that they perjured themselves, and that's forwarded to the New Jersey State Board of Licensing, that doctor is subject to losing their license. In many cases, that is far more critical than any criminal penalty that may be imposed. So the weight that this carries is significant. The livelihood of that physician is at stake. The issue is going to be, quite frankly, that we'd have to police it. The way we police it would be is if somebody brings it to the city's attention that they believe that the information that was brought forward was false, and then we would have to do an investigation to make a determination whether or not we wanted to move that forward to the prosecutor's office or send it to the state licensing board.
Can I ask a very simple question? Regardless of having one doctor or two doctors, how many cases have been investigated in the past in terms of doctors' signatures?
I have no idea. I know that prospectively.
And we have reported to traffic and signals cases of abuse. And nothing happens. So if I can get a guarantee, for example, on Elm Street, there's about 15, when there's about 20 homes there. I can guarantee that the city will investigate it seriously. I don't have any problem supporting anything. The problem that I have is the abuse that takes place with this.
I can represent to you that I'll have a discussion with the director of engineering, with his manager of traffic and signals, that there is a concern from the council that we are inadequately policing the application of handicapped licenses and that we have to take it seriously. And I'll bring a report back to the council. And indeed, if there's any council member or resident for that matter who believes that there is a violation, those residents should bring it to the attention of traffic and signals, and if it's not adequately addressed, I'm happy to follow up on that through VA's
I'll
office.
give you another scenario. There are folks who live down the shore who have handicap signs in front of the homes that they own, purposely to come down once a month, collect the rent, and go back down the shore. That's been reported to traffic and signals, and nothing is done. So if you assure me that a serious investigation is going to take place, as long as we report it, that's fine.
I can assure you that every ordinance on the books will be taken seriously if there is any indication that it's not being followed, and I'm happy to follow up on that through my office.
Okay, final question, Councilman James.
Mr. B.A., I think the problem mainly originates in the East Ward. And is it possible for us to have a pilot program beginning in the East Ward?
Certainly.
Okay.
Requiring two doctor's notes in the East Ward?
Well, I would not recommend that. My recommendation would be that I would look at doing an audit of licenses, handicap parking permits in the East Ward, if we want to do that on a pilot basis, a random audit to look at them, make sure that we're in compliance, and do a more in-depth investigation than we otherwise would. I would.
Fair enough.
Right.
Thank you.
Clark?
Mr. Chairman, just one quick suggestion, and the administration may want to consider at some point maybe like publicizing some kind of hotline number. Maybe these cases should be looked at by the city's inspector general. You know, maybe a way for us to at least empower residents to potentially report, you know, fraud.
I think it's a great idea. I have never gotten a report from the Inspector General ever. Today, I actually asked my staff to contact the inspector, find out what they do. So I think we can add that to the list.
Give them a hotline, maybe.
That's not a bad idea. All right. I will take that suggestion.
Okay, Mr. Clark, let's call for a vote.
Are we advancing and adopting, or just advancing to first?
Yes.
It's an adopting.
It's an adopt on first, the sponsors?
Roll. Oh, Council Sahol?
sponsor.
No, Councilwoman and Councilman, what else?
I'll surely sponsor.
Second?
Okay, second. Second, Bramos. Roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I have no pre-printed motions. Motion.
Councilman Amador. No motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, before we go, Mr. President, all the items adopted today on first reading will be advertised in accordance with law, and a public hearing will be held at the regular council meeting of February 5th, beginning at 12:30 p.m. here in the council chamber. I have no pre-printed motions?
Yes, I have two comments, perhaps a letter to the business district in the North Ward, the Bloomfield Avenue and Lower Broadway. I have complaints that people have a lot of graffiti on their buildings, and it seems that nobody is doing anything. And in addition to that, to the police department, there's a lot of double parking on Bloomfield Avenue. We are paying, or the business district is paying to the sheriff department to take care of that problem, and they are not doing anything. I believe that we should enforce the law. You go up Bloomfield Avenue at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and there is only one lane open because everybody parks double parking to go to the restaurants, even though there is parking in front of them. I believe that we have to make sure that we enforce the law, because if not, why do we have the law?
Yeah. That's a county road, by the way, so.
But the police department enforces the laws on Bloomfield Avenue, and the sheriff department gets paid by the business district to make sure that there's no double parking and that there's no crime on that portion of the avenue. So I believe that we need to address it to both the sheriff and to the police department.
Yes. Yep. Good. Roll call. This motion.
Second.
Second. Yes.
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 Councilman? Yes. Councilman James?
Good evening. I want to take this time to praise Donna Jackson for bringing up 18 Stratford. I think this is the most fastest response I've ever seen from the administration. We received complaints of inhabitable living conditions. We mobilized code enforcement. We sent out over 13 inspectors. We wrote up over 50 violations. Simultaneously, the City of Newark sent the Law Department to court to implore the new owners to make necessary repairs to make the living conditions better. There were numerous violations, roof leaks, electrical, rodents, holes in walls, stairwells, filthy living conditions. The court granted us access to the building, required the owners to make immediate repairs. The City of Newark coordinated with the state for housing vouchers and also work with the Courtyard Marriott to get housing for the residents over the 3 periods that the repairs, 3 days that the repairs are being made. The residents, over 50 units, stayed at the Courtyard Marriott out at the airport for 3 days, transported by the city, received food for 3 days while repairs are being made. And again, I want to thank code enforcement, the administration, and they were returned to their homes. Unfortunately, it happened during Thanksgiving, but we did not stick them in a Riviera down the street. We put them in substantial living conditions, and we will do that again. So I just want to thank the administration, code enforcement, and just show a little light on what the city did under that circumstance. Tomorrow, code enforcement will go out and do a re-inspection, a complete re-inspection, to make sure the owners did what they were required by the courts and by the City of Newark. 2 other things. I'd like to thank Cherie Morris for breaking ground on 2 3-family homes in 402, 404 Avon Avenue. The foundations are up and they should be finished soon. And lastly, for employment, I would stress that everyone go online to the 2020 Census Bureau website. They are hiring, paying between $19 and $21 an hour. They're going to start hiring in March. They've already received applications from over 5,000 Newarkers. It's an opportunity to work at your own time frame, set your own hours, to go out into the community, to count, do the count for the census. Can't stress that enough. Congressman Payne mentioned it earlier. If we do not have an accurate count, we do not get the necessary funds from the federal government. We're talking about $800 billion at stake, which are going to be allocated in neighborhoods. So we need to make sure we have the numbers counted in the City of Newark so we get our fair share of that $800 billion. That's all I have.
Second. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Councilman McCollum?
First, I want to thank Director Ladd for her hard work on those agenda items earlier, because it actually started with her. So I want to congratulate the American Red Cross, the Newark Fire Department, the Urban League of Essex County, and all of the volunteers who came out this Monday, Martin Luther King Day of Service. We gave out over 300 smoke detectors. Well, we didn't give them out. We actually installed them. And, you know, it was a real good day to go a long ways towards making the ward safer, making the residents a lot safer. The residents were very grateful, and we had a good time, and it was cold. The PAP site is still under work. EHD is talking with the developer, with the owner who's doing the remediation. I'm involved. And we're going to make sure that that's a great project. It'll be housing, commercial, and retail. It'll be a mixed-use facility. There will be no juvenile detention center going on that site. Again, I repeat every meeting because we get a lot of calls and people asking and putting it on Facebook that the juvenile detention center is coming. that's been squashed 6 months ago. So this is a mixed-use project to cover the 8 acres. We're working on a restaurant chain going there and also the housing. So it's a major project. It takes time. And then we will be having community meetings. So we will not put anything there without the community being involved. Next Wednesday, I think it's the 29th, we will be having my office along with the West Ward People's Assembly, we'll be having a town hall meeting from 6 to 8. That'll be at the Family Manor Restaurant at 795 Sanford Avenue. We'll have representatives from the construction firm, from the water department. I'll be there, and we'll be answering questions about the processes that they're using for the lead line replacement. We will get some complaints about the firm not putting sod back where they were supposed to put sod back, and so to alleviate that and give the information out, we'll be doing a community meeting. And again, that's next Wednesday, the 29th, 795 Sanford Avenue, Family Manor Restaurant. All are welcome from 6 to 8, next Wednesday, January 29th. Okay, that's all I have.
Second by Councilman Gonzalez. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Councilman McCarver.
Thank you, Council President. Just a few requests of the administration. One, Mr. BA, I would like a review of event parking. I spoke to the Newark Parking Authority today in regards to it, and we can speak offline about it, but I would like a full review on behalf of the administration about event parking, the process, how our residents notified and such. We have gotten a ton of complaints regarding event parking, which seems to be displacing many residents that live in a downtown area. So if we could get a review on that, perhaps maybe a Newark Parking Authority can come and discuss with us. That might be great too. In addition, I would like an update on the animal shelter. I know that we had gotten we were getting some feedback about it. We had Dr. Wade here a couple of months ago. I think even Councilman Amador had brought it up regarding the animal shelter, but if we can get a report on where we're at with that piece, that would be really nice. And just 2 announcements, well, really 3 announcements. My office released a Black History schedule for the Central Ward residents. Black History is February and it is coming up. It's already February, shocking. But we did release a list of events that we're going to be hosting in partnership with Newark Public Library, the Newark Museum of Arts, and the Newark Arts Council. We are asking residents to participate in those activities. If you would like a list of them, you can check us out on social media through Central Ward community page on all platforms on social media, or you can call the office and we'll make sure that we have flyers available. They are posted in all of our Central Ward schools, but we are asking for Central Ward families to participate in those activities. We will be hosting a update on the lead service line program, as well as the filter program that we have. That's going to be hosted on January 27th for Central Ward residents at Humanity Baptist Church, located at 235 Bergen Street. That meeting is going to start at 6 o'clock p.m., and that is open to all Central Ward residents to receive an update and ask questions and voice your concerns regarding the lead service line program. And lastly, I will be hosting a Central Ward Tele Town Hall on January 29th at 6:30 p.m. We're going to be discussing about keeping our ward clean. We have had a lot of discussion, a lot of feedbacks via our social media regarding keeping our ward clean, and it's something that we need to discuss as a community. We are pleased to have our Director of DPW, who will be joining us on the Tele Town Hall call to discuss things that residents can do to keep our city clean. It is extremely important. It's not just the job of the city, city to keep our city clean, it is also the job of our residents as well. And so we'll be discussing that on our Town Hall, which is once again January 29th at 6:30 p.m. The call-in number for residents is 1-805-309-0111, and the access code for that is 725-509. For whatever reason, if you did not get that information, you're more than welcome to call the Central Ward office to get that. Our telephone number is 973-733-5840. I think, yeah, I got that. Thank you.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Councilor Osborne?
No motions.
Councilor Ramos?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few motions. One is a follow-up item for the Newark Fire Department or Division. I had a conversation with Director Scott from Engineering. We had a request made to institute a fire lane in front of 444 Mount Prospect Avenue. I believe they went out and did an assessment. They determined that a fire lane was needed, and we're just awaiting legislation to come before this council to establish the fire lane. I believe engineering has done their due diligence. They're just waiting for information from fire in order to execute that. You know, there have been a number of medical issues that have occurred with seniors who live there, and they definitely need access to that area in order to respond to any kind of emergency in the building. And just a follow-up to Councilman Gonzalez's point related to graffiti. It's really the property owner's responsibility to clean up graffiti, and the city has an obligation to go out there and cite, these property owners who for long periods of time, allow graffiti to remain on their properties or their buildings. And, along Bloomfield Avenue over the years, we've been able to make progress in partnership with the city because they've gone out there, they've talked to the businesses and property owners and encouraged them to clean up graffiti. At one point, we had a graffiti removal group that went out and they would charge some of these property owners whenever they went out and cleaned up. The improvement district does assist in providing some maintenance services along the avenue, but the law is clear. The law is that if you are a private property owner and there's graffiti on your property, you have to clean it up within a certain period of time. And I would just encourage through your chair and the clerk that we send correspondence over to the Department of Engineering, code enforcement again, to remind them to be a little more aggressive in making sure that these corridors are cleaner and that the business owners and property owners comply with the city laws and regulations. And at some point, we need to have a conversation or presentation from the BA as it relates to code enforcement. I think the two representatives from 380 and 402 Mount Prospect highlighted, big part of the issue is that, they go out, they do inspections. We have a lot of respect for the people that work in that office, but the outcomes are not clear to us. Like we're not aware of how these cases are adjudicated. Are there fines that have been levied against these property owners? Are there corrective action items that they've made to address some of the complaints? We're totally in the dark, and I think that adds to frustration on our end, and you see it with residents and tenants who appear before us. And I go back to what I've stated in the last 4 months. Now we're adding even more responsibility to this crew. Now you're asking them to go out there and inspect apartments that are vacant before they're rented. And this is already a crew that's having a difficult time doing what we expect them to do as it is. And now you're looking to task them with additional responsibilities. And I really think that the administration needs to rethink how we are running that division, because it's a lot of work for a limited number of people. And right now, it doesn't seem like maybe the maybe the problem is the courts, but we're not sure where it is, because we don't have any answers or feedback at times as to what happens in some of these cases. So I would just add, maybe there could be an item that we can put on a special in the near future to have the BA, the administration come in and give us a presentation on what they plan on doing with code enforcement, how many people they're looking to add in the future to handle some of these additional tasks, and how do we bridge that gap, right? How do we create a system where we have feedback as to what happens with some of these complaints that we issue to that department?
Second. Roll call. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Councilman McIver has one more.
I just wanted to add, first of all, ditto to Councilman Ramos regarding code enforcement. But I do want to add one piece to Newark residents. They were talking about graffiti, and we have the new Newark Connect app. So if you have not downloaded it onto your phone, definitely do. It's available in Google Play and Apple stores, so you can download it and report graffiti and garbage and all of those things via the app, which is really a cool app. I've been playing with it all week, and so definitely I encourage residents to download it. You can report straight from your phone while you're checking Facebook. So Newark Connect, look for it.
Okay, roll call. Second and roll call on that motion. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Clerk, the law department and the administration. I have said it many occasions. The trucks, every time there's an event at this arena, the trucks go all the way down to 21. Franklin Street is closed because of this whole parking deck. It is an inconvenience to traffic. When folks park a truck in a city street, they get ticketed. But the arena is okay. So what's good for one has got to be good for another. So how can we have 18 trailers, and these 18 trailers don't even pay a fee? Or these 18 trailers should find a lot within the city and park the 18 trailers. But it's just not right that they would not do this at Madison Square Garden, New York, or at Staples Center, or any of those centers around the country. It's only here that it's being done. So I would like to see what can we do. Do we draft? What kind of traffic ordinance we create? We make an amendment to, because it's just horrible. You can't, the people, it's just the view. You can't view, you can't see the sides, who's coming, because it's all right to the corner. So again, Mr. BA, we have to find a solution. They cannot just come and not pay a fee, and they park 18 trailers on our city streets. And then when someone parks an 18-wheeler on a street, they get towed overnight. So what's good for them is good for the other folks too. So we have to find a solution to this matter.
Second.
Right? Thank you.
A few days, too.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be there a few days. Roll call.
Second and roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
First giving them permission.
Yes.
Yeah, they be parked there.
Yes.
Trucks on the East Ward.
Yes.
Council of the whole to adjourn?
Yes.
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 I can't even park when I go to Jimenez. What the hell? I'm trying to go to Jimenez. I can't even park.
Okay, give me permission.